In 1956, Malcolm McLean created the first shipping container in an effort to facilitate international shipping. He most likely had no idea that these shipping containers would be used for anything other than what he had originally planned. Since his invention, shipping containers have been used in the construction of homes, offices, street markets, and even banks. In recent years though, we've seen a massive trend of people buying and converting shipping containers into homes. But where did this trend come from? Philip Clark was the first to submit a patent application for a method for converting one or more steel shipping containers into a habitable building. In his patent, he describes how shipping containers can be adapted to become homes. 2 years later, the patent was approved. The notion though of turning shipping containers into homes was not first thought up by Clark.
Yes, dear, I know.
Can I eat inside? I want to watch videos.
Okay, but take your plate with you and don't sit too close.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the movie set of the low-budget film Space Rage, which was released 2 years before Clark's patent. If you look closely, you notice that these buildings are made of shipping containers. We can go even further back than that, to the 1970s, where UK architect Nicholas Lacey wrote his university thesis on the concept of converting shipping containers into habitable dwellings. Since then, Lacey has gone on to create several of these converted shipping container buildings with urban space management. This idea of converting shipping containers into multi-purpose buildings has been explored for decades, but only by architects, and it wasn't until 2012 that we see the idea go mainstream. The trend for converting shipping containers into homes was kicked off by Todd and Dee Miller. The Australian couple lost their home in a flood and decided that they were going to rebuild it out of shipping containers. They used 31 shipping containers and converted them into a 6,000 square foot home called Graceville Container House. After the house was featured on Grand Designs Australia, people saw how versatile shipping container homes could be, and from there the trend went mainstream. The trend also benefited from another movement that was on the rise at the time. In 2014, Tiny House Big Living and Tiny House Hunters aired, highlighting how simple and inexpensive it could be to turn shipping containers into homes. Even though during the tiny home movement we were seeing mainly smaller, simpler container homes, as the trend grew, we started to see these beautiful modern homes built from containers all over social media. We start to see hotels and Airbnbs made from containers pop up all over the place. I mean, there's a whole category on Airbnb just for container homes. And if you look up container homes in Google, under the shopping tab, you'll find a number of people selling container homes for a fraction of the price of a traditional house. It's a container house here that looks pretty awesome, to be honest, that you could buy for £39,900, and you know, it looks great. You could just buy it off eBay, and yeah, although I'm a bit confused about this. What's this? What's this? And what's this? Modular converted container Timmy House office caravan garden house. Which is it? And what is this picture? And there's another one here for £6,000 on AliExpress. £89,999. This is super luxurious, but it's very tiny. I've always heard people make jokes about selling homes on eBay. I didn't actually think it was a literal thing. You could buy a home on eBay. If we keep going, the studio here for £21,550. But before you go diving into this trend head first, it's crucial that we understand why these seemingly easy to build and inexpensive homes are not quite what they've cracked out to be. First, let's talk about permits and regulations. There's often a misconception that you could just buy a shipping container and place it on a lot and start building. However, many places have specific guidelines that containers may not meet, which makes it necessary to go through an extensive permit process. Building a home out of shipping containers specifically may conflict with the local building codes and zoning restrictions. Most areas will require specific modification to the container to meet the safety standards, which could come at an additional cost. And then there's site preparation. This is often overlooked when talking about shipping containers, because this idea that you could just buy it off eBay, buy a plot of land and place it down and start living, it's somewhat misleading. Just like traditional homes, site preparation is essential work that can't be neglected. To sustain the weight of a container home, solid foundations are required. Depending on the soil type on the site and local building standards, you may need to invest in concrete foundations or other anchoring measures. The other thing you have to consider when you are planning on adapting a shipping container into a functional home is plumbing, electrical systems, and insulation. All this work can be quite complex, and this also could be quite costly. Now, presuming you're going to order your home from a company that specializes in converting containers into homes, maybe you don't have to worry about plumbing and electrical systems and insulation because it will come pre-wired, which is fantastic, good for you. But if you are looking to do it the way you see in these TV shows or on YouTube, where people build the containers themselves because it's the most cost-efficient way of converting containers into homes, you have a lot to think about. And one of the biggest elements that you need to think about is structural integrity. Containers were not initially designed for living spaces, so it's crucial to understand their limitations. They are sturdy enough to endure the ocean voyage, but converting them into homes demands a completely different level of engineering. Containers are specifically designed with reinforced corners and frames to handle vertical and horizontal load. Cutting through them for doors, windows, and plumbing weakens the structure, requiring costly reinforcement with either steel or wood. If we're talking about tiny container homes, then this might not be a big deal since the reinforcement required will be minimal. If you want something fancier and more luxurious like the ones you see on Google or YouTube or Instagram, then you might be looking to build a home that's similar to a traditional home in terms of size. Since containers come in fixed heights and widths, you might have to rip out entire sides of containers just to create a space that's more luxurious and feels more spacious, further weakening the structural integrity of these containers. There's also this idea that it's easy to create cool shapes like cantilevers from containers. The problem with that is containers are designed to be stacked one on top of the other so that the load is distributed through the corners. When you cantilever a container on top of another, the load is no longer distributed at the corners. It has now shifted to the center of the container, which has not been built to distribute that type of load. This would lead to the structure collapsing. The only way to move forward is by reinforcing the center to ensure the load is distributed correctly. So it's not as simple. Proper engineering will be required to create some of the more fancier homes we see on social media. One of the main selling points with container homes is that they are sustainable. And I'm all about sustainability. Every time I hear that, I go, great, let's hear it. The problem is I find it difficult to see any real evidence in real life that using shipping containers and converting them into homes is sustainable. When you look at homes that have been converted from shipping containers into homes and they are sustainable, there's nothing about the sustainability aspect of the home that's linked or tied directly to the shipping container. It's all the other work that the owner has had to do to convert that home into a sustainable home. But shipping containers themselves have challenges when it comes to sustainability. Shipping containers have inherent thermal conductivity, which means they readily transfer heat. Without proper insulation and climate control, container homes can become uncomfortably hot during the summer and cold in the winter, leading to higher energy consumption for heating and cooling. And you have to be careful about the type of insulation that you use. Some commonly used insulation materials such as spray foam and polystyrene may not be the most eco-friendly choices due to their high environmental impact and chemical compositions. And then there's all the steel. Every time a hole is made through the shipping container to create windows, or every time you cantilever, you have to reinforce it. All that steel could increase the environmental footprint of the project. On top of that, containers are made from steel. Although it's a widely used construction material due to its strength and durability, the production of steel is a highly intensive process that involves the extraction of iron core, conversion of iron into steel in a blast furnace, and additional refining steps. These processes emit a substantial amount of carbon dioxide, contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. Since the environmental cost of making shipping containers is so high, some people might be thinking, why don't I take used shipping containers and turn those into my home? That idea also presents different issues. Used shipping containers may transport a variety of goods through their lifetime. These could include chemicals, pesticides, and other hazardous materials that could be radioactive. And some of these substances could leave residues and contaminants inside the containers. The other thing with used shipping containers is that they're often treated with chemicals to help preserve them during transportation. The chemicals used in these processes may not be suitable for residential use, and if this is your home, you're breathing them in daily. And then the other thing is that the longevity of containers may not be as high as you expect. While they are sturdy and designed for multiple trips, they might not have the same lifespan as traditional homes constructed from durable materials. If we take a quick look in Google, we'll see that the lifespan of a container is only 25 years, brand new, whereas the lifespan of a house is typically from 50 to 100 years. So with all the issues I've just highlighted, you might be asking yourself, why do people keep pushing the narrative that container homes are a good, sustainable, cheaper alternative to traditional homes? Well, part of that is hope. Part of it is that it's a cool idea with a cool aesthetic. But I think the biggest part is that on the surface, without breaking it down and really thinking about it, it seems like it makes sense because it plays into this idea of upcycling. We have an entire culture of people who love to live a sustainable lifestyle, and within that we have a subculture of people who love to upcycle, and I think it's great because it's good for the environment and you save money. But like most ideas in life, it can't apply to everything, and I think this is a case where it doesn't apply, and you reach a point where trying to apply the idea, in this case upcycling, to everything becomes inefficient and ineffective. The amount of effort you go through to turn a container into a home actually makes it not as sustainable as you may think. That's it from me. I'm Zulfani Ineza, and until next time, bye. Before I go, if you've come over from Homes We Love, welcome. And if you're new and you've never met me, welcome too. I'm trying a new style of content and I'm enjoying it. I've enjoyed making this video. Let me know in the comments below what other questions you'd like me to answer, what you'd like me to look into and research and present to you. Yeah,